Is the real estate market crashing? I can't answer that for you because everyone seems to have a bit of a different definition of what a market crash is. Some people just say it's balancing out or cooling down, all kinds of buzzwords. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys the stats that just came out from the month of May, and you guys can make up your own mind. And as always, if you guys need any help buying or selling, realtorvic.ca is where you can find me. And that's the end of my sales pitch. So let's get started. So the things we're going to cover, I know everybody wants to know the prices. Obviously price is king. So everybody wants to know what the prices are. But I think there's a bunch of other things that are also important to know if you guys want to know, like get the real pulse for the market, like what's happening day to day. What do agents see? And a lot of the stats are not available to the public. Okay, we're going to cover pretty much every type of house you can think of. Now, if you don't have time to sit through all these stats, I hope you don't turn out. I hope you do sit through it because it took me a long time to put this stuff together. So if you guys do enjoy this kind of stuff, please subscribe and like that. It kind of cheers me up. And it tells me there's demand for this kind of stuff. Okay, but if you don't have time to sit through it, spoiler alert, every single market is down except for condos. Okay, so let's get into more details. Number of sales. We had 296 sales on the Toronto Real Estate Board. I do realize like Burlington has their own board as well, so some listings get overlapped and some listings go there, some listings come on the Toronto Real Estate Board. But I like to focus just on the Toronto Real Estate Board stats because they do a great job in like breaking everything down in a lot more detail. So this is my go-to spot for all the stats. Okay, in April there were 291 sales, and it's not a big jump, only 296. But they're both down compared to March. March, as you remember, that's when the rate came in, like the rate hike went up by 0.25. Then we had another one in April for 0.5, and just one more 2 or 3 days ago for 0.5, another one. So the the number of sales should be a lot higher because spring is always the busiest time of the year, and winter is always the slowest time of the year. But that's not the case this year. They're slightly up, but nothing like they used to be historically. Okay, so that's number of sales. They're not doing all that great. Days on market. What I did was I checked the number of sales, like these stats here, and I took a look at how many of them took longer than 2 weeks to sell. Requires some number crunching, but I have the numbers here. 108 of them out of 296 took longer than 2 weeks to sell. Just look at the comparison, 22, 26, 31, 46, and look at that, like 108. It's been going the wrong way. Like things are sitting on the market longer compared to winter time. Now, why is this important? It's important to know, like I mentioned before, if you're thinking of selling, you need to know, like, okay, am I going to sell in 3 days so I can start planning for the next house? Or should I expect to be sitting on the market for like 3 weeks, 4 weeks? Because that makes a difference. Because if you're thinking of buying another house, you don't want to jump on something and your house still hasn't sold. Okay, so keep that in mind. I'm not saying you have to hire me as your agent. This is not a sales video, but these numbers are handy if you think of buying or selling. Now, cancel listings, like how many listings got canceled for the month of May, and look at that. Compare that to January, 13, 37. March it started shooting up because the rates came up, and you can see 164 and 199. Now, listings usually get canceled because maybe the sellers are like, oh my God, the market's slowing down. Let me see if I can get the price of the winter. So they put the house up for sale. Didn't happen. They sat on it for 3-4 weeks maybe, and they realized like, well, okay, I'm not going to get that price, so I'm just going to take it off the market. It's not worth to sell. So that might have happened. Another reason is that the agent might have suggested, okay, you know what, we're not getting that price, so why don't we just relist it at a lower price and we just start fresh as 0 days on the market. So that's another thing that might have happened. So that's the reason I'm showing you guys these stats. Like things are taking longer to sell. So that's number one to know if you're buying or selling. Not everything is selling. As you can see here, a whole bunch of them, like we had 296 sales and we had 199 cancellations. Okay, so keep those numbers in mind. And now let's get into prices because that's what everybody came for. Prices for detached homes are down $242,000 since the month of January. These are average prices. Keep that in mind, please. You can see here, like it peaked in January for Burlington, 1.82, and now it's down to 1.58. I mean, still a great price, but nothing like the winter market we had. Okay, so detached homes are down. Semis are down even more. Like they're down $278,000. They were selling it peaked in 1.29 in February, and now it's down just under $1 million. So under $1 million if you want to pick up a semi. Freehold townhouses are actually doing better than semis. They're still over the $1 million mark, but they have also dropped $223,000. And condo townhouses are also down about $80,000. You can see here, like condo townhouses they almost hit the $1 million mark in February, March, but they've dropped to about $850,000 if you want to get a condo townhouse in Burlington. Condos are actually up. This is the only segment that's doing better since January. It did peak in February. They were as high as 822, but just to be consistent, I wanted to stick to January as the comparison mark. So if you compare to January, they are up slightly, about $500. Okay, so those are the average prices. And now let's look at like how many listings are still selling over asking. Because like I said, believe it or not, things are still selling over asking. If you own a nice home, and now a bit of a disclosure here, obviously, you price anything low enough, it's going to sell over asking, right? So that does happen in the market. So that disclosure number one. Number two, this is just selling over asking. So this could be like $2,000 over asking. More than likely, if I had done the number crunching here, like, I mean, look at the numbers here, 88%, 87% of homes were selling over asking. Now it's down to 40%. So disclosure number one, you price anything low enough, chances are it's going to sell over asking because it's going to seem like a bargain at some point. Disclosure number two is that this does not mean $200,000 over asking. It just means sold over asking. So it could be like $500, $2,000. Now let's look at SNLR. Like I mentioned before, all that is just sales to new listings ratio, like how many are coming and how many are selling. And they usually say, it's not like a scientific number, but this is like a general guideline. It just says that if that number is less than 40%, you are in a buyer's market. Anything from 40 to 60% is considered a balanced market. Anything over 60%, you are in a seller's market. Now this one is a little bit surprising. So keep that in mind. Over 60 is a seller's market. So this is just straight from the Toronto Real Estate Board. Okay, so we're looking at SNLR. So this is the month of April, and this is May. Okay, so let's say look at Burlington. Burlington's SNLR was at 75%. So technically deep in a seller's market at 60% or over. And now it dropped to 71%. So if you look at both, technically we are still in a seller's market. If I show you guys other markets, like look at Oakville, it's down to 67, Milton's down to 66%. As I mentioned before, those videos will be coming out just like this one, but this is just on Burlington. Months of inventory. We were at 0.6% in the month of April, and now we're only at like 0.7. So it hasn't changed much. So if you guys look at these two numbers, technically we are still in a seller's market. But just by being out there, showing houses every day, buying and selling, that kind of stuff, being out with clients, the feel of the market, it feels a lot different than winter. There's less panic out there. But like I said before, good homes are still selling. So if you're thinking of selling, I don't do sales pitches, but I would probably do it sooner than later because the rates just went up on June 1st, and we'll probably feel the effect of that in a month or so. So I don't expect it to be anything close to what we had in the wintertime. I think it is going to be a slow summer and slow fall, but good homes are still selling, so it's not like the market is completely dead. And like I said before, realtorvic.ca is where you can find me if you guys have any questions, or if you guys are not depressed and you guys want to work with me, I know I bring depressing news, but sometimes it's good to know the truth. I don't want to just, sell you guys a dream and then 2 months later you guys are mad at me, the house didn't sell. So that's the reason for bringing you guys all this kind of stuff. I do realize it's a lot of bad news. But yeah, like I said, realtorvic.ca is where you can find me, and I'll see you later. Thanks. Bye.